Hello there. So today I want to go through my view, my understanding of this whole thing with freedom of religion. And a lot of what I'm about to say I know is controversial, not something a lot of religious people would even agree with me on. But I feel strongly about it, and I think it actually makes sense, and there's truth to it. And I honestly think that we'd be better off from these views. So I'm going to share it here. So, yeah. Anyhow, so freedom of religion. What is freedom of religion? Freedom of religion is the freedom to worship God how you see fit. We know historically speaking that was prevented. Tyrannic governments were not allowing people to do that, and America is saying, here, you can do that. But another thing about freedom of religion that I think is important to embrace, to understand, is that freedom of religion works as a thing to make sense when you view religion as a thing between each individual and God, not something controlled by the people of how to worship. It's literally just each individual and God. And if there's all these faiths out there, you can't decide, this faith is the right faith and the one that makes the most sense. So we're going to conclude that this is the one to go by. So the government's going to be that. That's not something America. That doesn't help people who don't believe that. And if we're going to be a free country and embrace and accept all the people we want in this country, we have to be able to actually have the freedom. But we're not going to be able to have that freedom if we're just going to be stuck in our ways and think this is the truth and this is the only way. You can believe that for yourself, but there has to be some form of being able to understand for others. What should you understand for others? Others may not believe what you believe, and that's okay. And to respect that at its fullest. And I think to get there at its core is really to embrace the idea of freedom of religion to the most. So if somebody is something you disagree with, something you think is wrong, leave it at they believe what they believe, you believe what you believe, and that's it. Don't go around teaching people they're wrong and we're right. Leave, as a Jew, teach people who are Jews, other Jews, whatever it is, teach them this is what we believe is right. Here's what we believe, the end. If there's questions about Christianity, we don't believe in that. Jews don't believe what Christians believe. That's it. And we respect what they believe. We respect they believe what they believe. They're not harming us. We don't harm them. That's it. Historically speaking, you may go through all the cases where this happened and that happened. There was all these wars and all these things, persecutions, whatever it is, and can't let it go. Or I don't know. We got to live with one another. So we're gonna hold on to grudges and things that happened in the past and view them in a bad light because of things that happened in the past is not helpful. It's not a way to progress and move forward. I think we can progress and move forward if we accept the fact that these other people, they're living how they're living, they're not harming us, and we're going to respect that they believe what they believe, and that's it. If we're going to go around telling everyone within our faith, within the religion, that we believe what we believe and these people what they believe is all wrong, and the person that you're telling that to could find himself lost and confused with the faith himself or herself, whatever it is. They can find themselves as a Jew confused and lost, and they don't know. They have all these questions and they're struggling, and all they're hearing from you is they're not getting their answers satisfied or anything like that. They're hearing bashful things towards other religions. What are they likely to do? Go off and become an atheist. The secular world has been growing, and as far as from what I can tell, the way the secular world has been growing, from being there myself personally, I think it's been growing because religious people have been failing. They've been failing in being closed-minded, bigoted, intolerant, not understanding towards people's views and ideas, and a lot of things get brushed off, and there's no lack of humility is a big part of it too. People are just very egotistical, very proud people and all that stuff. There's a lot of things you can learn from others of positive things that maybe if you actually look at the positives of others and just try seeing the positive wherever it is, from wherever it's from, whatever it is, and not look at the negative and try to actually show people the negative and simultaneously also have some humility and say, I don't know something, I don't know, and let's actually care about this thing and be part of the journey together, then you can actually get somewhere. But if all you're doing is saying other people are wrong and you're being prideful and you're lacking humility and all that stuff, and everything is just obvious to you, your answers are just 100% accurate and this and that, and if they don't understand it, that's on them. I mean, I did what I can do, and you're not even going to try going the extra mile for the person. They're just going to throw up their hands and say, I don't think this makes sense. And because I don't think this makes sense, I'm not gonna believe in it. I don't believe anything supernatural exists. I don't think anything spiritual exists, and I'm gonna reject this idea of God. And this has happened time and time again. I've heard many, many stories of people coming out and saying, I believed in God and all this stuff. I really did. I went to church. I went to synagogue. I went to wherever, and they weren't doing it for me. And usually, the answer to what caused them to go off is the fact that they were not getting satisfactory answers, or there wasn't. The answers don't have to be. You don't have to have all the answers to everything, but you gotta at least demonstrate a bit of humility, a bit of something that actually makes the person care, show that you care, and that you matter, that they matter, whatever it is. As far as they're concerned, all they're seeing is your ego, your pride, your whatever it is. They're not seeing humility, and they're just getting answers that aren't satisfying. And it seems like no one's helping them get the answers they're searching for. So they're going off. That's what happened to me. I found myself not having answers, concluding on my own, this doesn't make sense. I'm not going to believe in it, and that's it. And eventually I came around and I started to realize what makes sense about it, and that there is a God, and that I'm going to believe there's a God and a religious way and religious values and all that stuff. That's for another time. But in the meantime, I have concluded otherwise, and found that other people have concluded otherwise for basically the same reasons. I've heard hundreds, probably thousands of videos with atheists explaining their points and how they got to where they got to and all that stuff. And the conclusion from me is that the religious people being stuck in their ways, how they are, is causing people to go off and become atheists. I actually blame the religious people for this. And I think a big thing that can help is actually having humility, decency, and respect, where people are not finding that you're bashing other people's religions and treating people in a way, it seems hypocritical. Think about it. If you're hearing how you're supposed to treat people with kindness and all that stuff, but you're saying the other people of the world are actually in the wrong with their faith, the same thing you have, just they happen to be wrong, you're essentially being indecent to these other people's point of view. You're being disrespectful. You're disrespecting other people's religious views to people within your religion. So you're hurting. The goal to actually become better is from within. And if you're pointing fingers outwards at others, how they are, and what's wrong with them, you're doing a disservice to yourself. The only place you should be looking is within you, and better yourself within you the best you can be. And that's the only way to actually forward things. And I think that we've been pointing at others all this time, and now the secular world has been growing, taking over the Democratic Party, and essentially ruining America, going down the line of becoming communists as we are now. Obviously, what I'm talking about here of religious freedom and treating people, other religions as such, is only a small part of the picture here. There's a lot going on here, and I want to get to as much of it as I can. But I think this is really important if you're a religious person to try actually treating other people of other faiths, of other religions, in the light where it's more, they believe what they believe, and I don't believe that, but I'm going to respect that as much as I can. And if you ever think to bash other religions, you can talk about history and say, this was something Christians did that were bad. This is something Jews did that were bad. This is something Muslims did that were bad. Whatever it is, you want to talk about history, things that actually happened, fine. But to talk about them, how they're all in the wrong now, and this is a real-time thing going on now, you're doing a disservice to yourself, I think. I think ultimately you're just making people see you as hypocrites and not actually someone that actually cares about being decent and kind, but rather you care more about being right than being good. You can't have everything. You could be good, but you can't always be right. And if you're going to always try being right with every single thing you say, you don't demonstrate humility, all you're doing is presenting yourself as prideful and all that stuff, you're doing a disservice, and you're gonna hurt the religious people. You're gonna hurt people from actually being able to find their path in life, find their connection to God, and actually get somewhere. They will get a lot farther with some demonstration of humility, where it's like, I don't know something, let's go search for it and actually care about this thing. I think this is really important to you, more rather than, here's an answer, and yeah, you have a problem with it. Well, I did what I can do. I mean, what do you want from me? This is the answer. Accept my answer. Accept what I'm telling you. And then the person doesn't. And this accumulates more and more people like that, where they're just like all raising up their hands, throwing them up. They're just like, I don't care about this. I'm not going to be religious anymore. I don't believe in God anymore. None of this makes sense to me. I don't want to be part of this cult. It seems atheists will actually outright say, what is this in a religion and a cult? They're essentially the same thing as far as an atheist is concerned, because they're not properly being raised religiously. They're being hurt religiously, and they're hurting themselves. They're hurting their value and their worth as a human being, because without religion, there is no value or worth as a human being. We're meaningless and have no purpose or anything. And this is really bad. We need to be able to have freedom of religion, worship how we want, and actually be able to convey that religion is important and matters and how and why and all that stuff without hurting ourselves and without bashing other people's faiths and religion. Anyhow, like, subscribe, share, join my Facebook group, America and Values. All the best. Thanks for watching.